Greetings, Earthlings. I come in peace. Adam Savage here in my cave with a new episode of Tested VR in which we're trying a new thing here. For us, just showing you a craftsperson working in front of you felt like a really incredible sea change in the ways in which VR could communicate information in ways that nothing else could. And now I'm taking you on a tour of a piece of my costume collection, and you get a view of it here that, again, no other kind of media would engender. And it is one of my favorite pieces in my collection. Yeah, it is one of my favorite pieces in my collection. It is my Apollo A7L moon suit, famously built for NASA's exploration of the moon in the 60s. There were several different versions of this worn by the 24 astronauts that visited the moon. This particular copy was built by my friend, master spacesuit replicator Ryan Nagata. He hand-sewed it for me a long time ago now. And it has evolved over the years. It has gotten many, many upgrades to make it more accurate, more wearable, and let's face it, more fun, honestly. And I'm going to give you a tour of the whole thing. But first, I'm going to give you a little spin around, just so you get to view this costume in this medium in all of its glory, because I often keep costumes up for a period of time and then I pack them into storage, but this one is just, it's always on display because I need to look at it all the time, apparently. And frankly, I'll take any excuse to wear it, and I will wear it later in this video. But first, let's just take a look at the whole thing. Now, the real spacesuits, of course, have tremendous amounts of internal structure to give the wearer mobility while the suit is under pressure. This doesn't have any of that, but there's lots of stuff built within this suit to kind of look like it's got some structure inside. The back has a funny story to it. You notice that these aren't lined up perfectly. In fact, Neil Armstrong's main suit, this back panel of chromel didn't line up on the suit. Yeah, Lisa Young, who restored Neil Armstrong's suit for the Smithsonian, was telling me that she couldn't figure out why it didn't line up, and that she looked at original film of Armstrong boarding the Apollo 11 capsule, and sure enough, this was slightly off. I love little facts like that. One of the main upgrades is the gloves. Ryan has refined his space gloves several times over the years, and this is the latest version. Its accuracy is really hard to overstate. Here, I'm going to give you a nice close look. Actually, there we go. I'll give you a nice close look at it up here. Among the things that are super accurate, first of all, the pattern is patterned off a real NASA glove. The silicone fingertips are actually the exact same make and model of the silicone that NASA uses for their fingertips. This metallic-looking fabric is not the famous chromel, one of the most expensive materials ever developed at the time it was used for NASA's gloves. It is a close approximation, and it's hard to find good metallic fabrics. This is really, really nice, and Ryan has even gone so far as to add a semi-tacky layer of a kind of a rubber to the inside, and this is accurate to the real gloves. I didn't even know about that. Ryan got an audience with a real glove and was able to determine that, yeah, they added a kind of a rubber coating to the palm to give it a little more stiction, because this is the primary way in which the operator of this anthropomorphic spacesuit interacts with the world. Another addition for the glove is, well, while we're talking about accuracy, let's also talk that, like, not only does Ryan do labels on the inside, but even in the actual information labels that replicate what ILC Dover puts in their spacesuits, he includes marks and words that make it clear this is a replica, so no one could accidentally sell this as original. But the latest upgrade on the gloves are these, the metal wrist rings that actually spin and have a fully etched coupler that goes to the suit. Look at that. This is all anodized aluminum, anodized in Ryan's home shop. Other upgrades, I have done my own. I actually the suit that Ryan made for me came with a set of plastic couplers. These are the air, water, and information interfaces between the suit's wearer and the ship. And those plastic ones are absolutely beautiful, but after staring at them for a couple of years, I decided that my machining skills may be good enough for me to attempt to make these on my own, and I did. It was such a slog. These are really complicated parts, and they're mirror images of each other. So this one is a mirrored image of this one is a mirrored image of this, and this one doesn't even match these four. So there's like there's like 5 different kinds of connectors, and there's only 6 connectors. Yeah. The information management of machining chiral, that is mirror image pieces, is a real brain buster. One detail I particularly love is this is one of the data ports. And I'm not sure if you can see, but if you look really close here, you might be able to see that it really looks like there's a bunch of holes in there that looks like a real data port or a real military grade connector. It's not. It's a flat bottom and a color copy of said connector glued in there. That's a bit of Ryan Nagata stagecraft that I just love. I also rebuilt this buckle from scratch in order that it was more robust. And here in the leg pocket, a radiation dosimeter that every astronaut had that told them how much radiation they had been exposed to. I made an exact copy of this and I think I sent the mold to Ryan because he uses my mold for his, and he made one for me for my suit. Among the things I have learned over the years of owning this suit, NASA hook and loop fastener, slightly different than hook and loop fastener that civilians use, in that it is ordered. It is in neat rows and columns as opposed to randomly distributed. I didn't know that. The helmet is an absolutely beautiful piece of kit, and one of the kind of most incredible problem-solving journeys I've ever seen Ryan go on. This is pulled out of a single piece of polycarbonate, which is exactly how the original bubble helmets were built. The original NASA bubble helmets are much thicker. They have to protect the astronaut against the vacuum of space. This one is actually, as you can see, somewhat thin. It doesn't diminish what an achievement it is to pull 1/4-inch polycarbonate this deep and get a high degree of fidelity, but it was achieved. It sits on a beautifully machined and hand anodized aluminum neck ring with the correct phrases, the Vasilva device for being able to eat while you're in the helmet. This is the distribution for the air, and this is actually a really neat feature of the helmet. You notice how it's got this sort of racetrack here behind the head. So what this is air comes in through here. This back of the neck ring has a little manifold port, and that air actually connects around the inside of the suit to one of the connectors. That's for real on the real NASA suits. That's how it works. And then when that air comes in here, it comes up through the bottom and it travels around this racetrack. But you see these are basically distributors that allow that air coming in to flow around the inside of the round helmet and thus keep it fog free so the operator can always see clearly through the optically clear glass. And now you probably noticed that the neck ring is also machined entirely out of aluminum, and it actually works. Yeah, it locks. I can remove the helmet, I can lock it, and according to Ryan, this will work with a real NASA helmet. So if anyone ever while I'm wearing the suit, if anyone ever hands me a real NASA bubble helmet, and I don't see this happening, I'll be able to connect it to the neck ring on my suit. Why do I love this so much? There is something about the fact that it is what I stated in the beginning of this video, an anthropomorphic spaceship. It is a spaceship that is both flexible and designed to fit your body. That's an amazing achievement in the annals of humans' ability to protect themselves against the environments or the lack of environments they might find themselves within. And as like as the marker of human ingenuity, I'm endlessly fascinated by the fact that these things exist and that they protected humans in such incredible places. There are a couple of more details I wanted to cover. The boots here, these boots. The original NASA moon boots are also cast in silicone. Again, I believe same silicone that's in the fingertips. And they're cast into a negative plaster mold. So I actually went through the trouble to work with a designer to design a 3D file of a negative mold, and we poured these silicone boot covers into that mold. So it's made identically to the same way that NASA's boots are built. Turns out there were two sizes of boots, large and small. We went with the large. My feet are size 11, or on the large size. The only difference is the number of these strips on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The small size has 10 strips rather than 11 strips. But again, this is actually a different version of a metallic chromel imitation on the outside of the boots, and you can see the color variance between the gloves and the boots. That doesn't bother me at all. There are actually fascinating color variances across actual NASA suits all over the place because they were constantly being iterated. The dirt on here is Ryan's particular mix of powdered pigments and Fuller's Earth to get a real dirty moon look. And because the original moon suits are all really filthy, I don't stand on ceremony with this thing. I don't try and keep it clean. I actually, like, when I pack it up, I fold it up and jam it into a suitcase because like a lot of my costumes, like a lot of my favorite costumes, the more beaten up it gets, the happier I am, the better it looks, the more it sort of demonstrates the wear and tear of its existence. Final piece here, a beautiful Kickstarter brass flashlight, which I think I pulled the batteries out so they didn't leak in here. But this is this is an exact replica of the brass flashlights that NASA astronauts actually carry. And it's weirdly heavy given what a consideration weight was for the astronauts. I'm a NASA completist. If I know something was in a pocket, I have to replicate what was in that pocket. Oh, right, there's one other thing. So I own very few actual pieces of NASA hardware. I am not as interested in original pieces of the space program as I am in actually wearing the imitations of them. But a couple of years ago, I picked up a Apollo era leg pocket, which looks exactly like this. And said leg pocket bolts to the left leg of the astronaut suit down here. I don't have it on there now because of various reasons, but that leg pocket held a printed book. This is a lunar surface checklist. And years before I even found the leg pocket and bought it, I had replicated this lunar surface checklist. Because the best thing about NASA and the people that love NASA is all of this stuff is online. It's all public domain. Your tax dollars paid for it, and you can download these entire things and print them out yourself, like I did out of cardstock, to get the correct lunar checklist into your pocket. There's one other piece here. The pocket has this extra pocket here, and in here is a pair of scissors. Now, these scissors were made by a German company called WEC, and again, like, they're spring-loaded, right? So you only need to do one action to work with them. They've got this horn up front, so like a medical scissors, they're great for getting in and cutting something, like emergency scissors. But what I noted about them is they're freaking heavy. This is like, I thought weight was, what is it, like $1 million a kilogram? I can't remember exactly, but weight is just at an incredible premium in the space program. And these heavy scissors struck me as like weirdly heavy. I've never had anyone answer me to my satisfaction about why such heavy flashlights and heavy scissors went with the astronauts when weight was such a consideration. There you go. Oh, right. I guess I should put this on. Yeah, I should put this on? Okay. If you'll excuse me, I'll be right back. Yeah, totally. No, I feel so good wearing this suit. It's just amazing. Oh, no, it's cumbersome and it's hot. I don't care about any of that. All right, shall I do a spin? Yeah, I'll do a spin. Here we go. When else do you get to look at a costume like this? I want to convince all my favorite cosplayers to do VR videos of their costumes so I can learn what I really want to know about them. This head cap, which is casually called the Snoopy Cap, because it reminds people a little bit of Snoopy. It is also called the Communications Assembly because it is how the astronauts actually spoke to mission control. Headphones with microphones, and there's actually a connector in here that I machined. I made 2 of these, one for Ryan, one for myself, and they actually allow connecting. Sorry, I should be clear. I machined this connector, but Ryan made it actually work electronically with the headset. And here's something cool about the replication work on this headset. If you look really closely at the brown parts, you might notice a little bit of a texture in the fabric. That texture is clearly visible in some of the older pieces of NASA hardware that use a brown beta cloth for the parts. Now, it might have started off as a much darker beta cloth, but over time it faded and got this texture. Well, Ryan and Agata actually took this texture and screen printed it onto a brown that matched the original fabric. There's, again, it's like that level of detail I love. Also, in these little buttons, which you can't possibly see because of the resolution in VR, there are little stitches around the buttons. He screen printed the stitches onto the pieces of fabric around those buttons because sewing like that was actually beyond him at the time. The kidneys, there are some foam rubber kidneys inside this communications assembly. They are actually cast from the real thing. And this is replicating, I believe, Armstrong's communications carrier assembly. And again, like Ryan does with everything, it says repro. So no one could ever mistake this for the real thing because, believe you me, somebody could easily mistake many of Ryan's parts for the real thing. I think that is everything. I will say that these moon boots are great, but they're really, really heavy and hard to wear nicely in Earth's gravity. So, when I wear this out for cosplaying, I'll wear a pair of Tom Sax's Mars Yard shoes because they're much more comfortable to wear with a suit, and they go right with it. I'm going to try and put this on. It's going to fog up pretty quickly. So before I do, thank you guys so much for joining me for this costume show and tell. I hope it has been as informative for you. I hope it has been useful and informative to you.
Go, and we are locked. Yeah, all right. I come in peace, I go in peace. Thank you for watching this show and tell. I will see you guys next time. This is Tested VR. Here we go.